What's happening, family? Church of Chug joining you for another episode. Drunken Monkey is going to be the host today. Hope everybody's doing well. Like usual, we're going to start off with our what we're chugging. So before I even mention what the topic is, we're just going to talk about the chuggers, and then we'll get into the topic. So first off, Ricky, what you got?
All right, guys, I got myself a little Baltic Porter from OEC Brewing in Connecticut. It's called Obscura. Nice and dark. Not as much head as I thought it was going to have, but let's see. Let's try it out. It comes in at 8%. So,
okay. Craft wetness.
So I picked up this Alaskan Brewing Company hazy IPA. It's called Genu Juice, 7.5%. I'll be chugging that.
Nice. Layla.
What's your name? Ice Cream Brews, and I have porter too. It's Maui Brewing Company Coconut Hiwa Porter.
Nice.
Chug it up.
I'm going to be chugging Nepenthe Brewing. I've chugged this a couple times. This is my last can of it. Cosmic Quartz Banger. It's a double IPA with terpenes.
Terpenes again.
Terpenes.
all right.
Do it, baby.
So, we ready for this? All right, glasses up. Jaren, why don't you count us down, bud?
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Cheers, fam.
Cheers.
Ooh.
Whew. That was still really cold.
It actually went down a lot smoother than I thought it was going to be.
Mine was cold, but it was smooth. It wasn't citrus, so I was able to do it.
I wanted to show off my San Diego Brewers Guild 25th anniversary.
Oh, sucky ducky. Where'd you get that?
My friend got it for me.
Nice.
Miss. Yeah, she got it from, I think she got it from Three Punk Ales.
Do they do it like they do here, where like all you got to do is fill it up and they give you the free glass?
I think so. I think she said they were $5.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah.
5 or 3. It was cheap, but not totally free.
What type of glass is that?
It's like a, what is this one called?
Oh, I forget the name.
Not a Pilsner glass, something else.
It's not Nordic because it's not just.
Yeah, it's not rounded.
Yeah.
No, we'll figure it out later.
All right. So, topic today that I don't think we've talked about ever on the church. I know we've all had them, and 2 of you chugged one, but porters. We've never talked about porters. So, before we start the topic, let's talk about what we're sipping on that we're going to be, porter wise. So, go backwards. Layla, what you got? You drinking the same thing?
Yeah, I am, because I literally could not find any other porters. They had a pumpkin porter from September of last year. And then they had these. And then the other one that they had was from Carl Strauss. And it was a $20 porter. And I was being cheap.
It is a good one. It's a good one.
It's their anniversary, 30-year anniversary barrel aged porter. So I didn't. It was expensive. I didn't feel like paying that much. So I'm backing them out. But this one is good. This is really good. So I definitely finished this 4-pack today.
Easy. Was it an easy chug?
It wasn't bad. It was just cold. So if it wasn't as cold, I would have been able to chug it a little bit faster. So
I feel you.
I used to live in Hawaii, so I really like anything with like coconut and like their when they use their different macadamia nuts and all of that and different things. So you can taste like this is nutty, and it is also like I don't really taste mocha in it, maybe a little bit, but mainly coconut. 5.5%, I think. 6%. Not bad.
Darren, what you got?
I picked up this from Second Chance Brewing in San Diego, Tabula Rasa. So this porter is a 6.2%, 33 IBUs, and they won a gold medal in the Great Beer Festival in 2016. And this is pretty good. Light, roasty, coca.
Nice.
Cocaine.
About you, Ricky?
All right, guys. So I wanted to do a little experiment because I found a couple porters, right? There's in the place where I get my beers, there's a pretty good selection of English style beers. So of course, Samuel Smith, I'm pretty sure everybody's heard of. This is their old, it's called Taddy Porter, the famous Taddy Porter. It's from England, product of England. This comes in at around, where is it? It doesn't say it. I'm sure I can find it. I'm sure I can find it. I'll find it for you guys. But like I said, this is from England, so I'm assuming it's a traditional style porter. And then I also brought with me another really well-known company, Bell's. And just their porter from Bell's. This is a 5%. Of course, it just says, award-winning Bell's porter. So I kind of wanted to give it a kind of like a side-by-side a little bit.
Yeah.
The difference between, something done in England and something done in the US is.
Okay.
We'll see.
In the US is.
The US's of A.
Yep. So let's see what happens.
So I'm going with a local, and it's honestly probably one of my favorites, Sweet Baby Jesus from DeClaw Brewing in Baltimore, Maryland. It's a chocolate peanut butter porter, 6.2%. Very dark, roasty, and full of peanut butter flavor. It's freaking amazing.
Peanut butter.
I was hoping I'd be able to find some of that, but we don't have that here. It is really good though.
It is.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't see it either because there's usually a pretty good selection at DuClaw in my place. I didn't see that one. I didn't see that one today.
They do have a Java one too. It's like sweet Java something. Yeah. So
go ahead, man.
No, so what I was going to say is, so porters is actually one of the oldest styles of beers, in the early 1800s and 1700s. Started out in London, and it's got a dark beer from well hopped and brown malts, well roasted barley, and it kind of gives it that really roasty flavor that porters are known for. It's one of the first beers that was brewed worldwide, Ireland, North America, Sweden, and Russia in the late 1700s. So it's a very, very old style beer. But one of the things, of course, that we see in craft beer is not just the old style, but the addition of adjuncts. So, like what I'm drinking has, of course, chocolate and peanut butter added, but then the more original style porter or traditional style porters have more of a roasty kind of coffee flavor to them because of how the type of malt that they use and how they roast the barley. So, what are your guys like favorite styles when it comes to porters? Do you like a more traditional, or do you like something that has a lot of adjuncts, or does it matter?
In all honesty, in all honesty, I never had a traditional porter. Only had like the Americanized ones and stuff like that. But if I were to go for a favorite style, it had to be like a coffee porter. The one that you have peanut butter, I never had the peanut butter in it.
Yeah,
that sounds delicious.
It's amazing. Yeah, it's not too much chocolate. It's more peanut butter than it is chocolate, but
yeah, I don't think they'll put
lactose some of that roast.
though.
You still get some of that roastiness in it.
Yeah,
I would say me personally, I'd probably go traditional. Because then after you add a bunch of adjuncts for me, it kind of almost feels like really bland, like a really thin or thinner stout.
So Ricky,
It's a weird middle, like it's a weird how do I say it's a weird distinction between a porter and a stout, right? Like it's not that clear, and some places actually deviate with that. Like porters aren't supposed to be that high in alcohol, and the one I had earlier was like 8%.
Right.
It's supposed to be on the lower end, and like these two are 5, I think 5.5 or 5.6, which is I think more where they're supposed to be.
right?
I look for that bitterness and that multi multi richness.
Right. That's exactly what you want.
I love porters and I love stouts, but I think that when I drink a porter, I do like the coffee ones more because I'm a coffee drinker and I like coffee. But if they have traditional, then I probably pick that over the coffee one at least to try first, and then rotate to the coffee. So I like the thinness and the lightness of a porter versus a stout, because when I drink a stout, I expect it to be thick. I expect it to be really syrupy. I expect it to be like a lot of like molassesy and stuff like that. But unless you're drinking like, the mass produced stouts, they're different. They're more close to a porter, if you ask me. Like the mass produced ones are very thin. So like Guinness, very thin, that style, but that is also super old recipe too. So I don't know.
Is Guinness considered a porter? Because I was looking online and it was saying that Guinness was a porter, and then saying no, it's a stout. What do you guys take on that?
There's that weird, deviation between the two, because from what I read, from what I understand, and I've asked this question plenty of times, everything started off as a porter.
Right.
So originally that the style was a porter, and they called it a porter, and that's what they brewed. Then what they ended up doing was making some porters heavier in ABVs, which the word stout technically just means strong. So it's a strong porter, like a stronger porter. So that's why a stout is just a stronger porter. And then I think eventually the two styles split off. But I think originally, or technically, and I wish we had somebody that that brews and stuff. If anybody in the comments wants to chime in, definitely chime in. But from what my reading and from people have told me, the two deviated after like in the 1800s or early 1900s or some shit like that.
Yeah.
To become the two different styles, but they have a lot of similarities in what they produced. For me, I like I said, I like the bitterness of the chocolatey, which I think stouts have a little bit more of a coffee and less of a chocolate for me. But that's just, I don't know, my palate.
Yeah, and what I was reading, like, in the difference between porters and stouts is that stouts are traditionally more bitter, and they do have a stronger, the ABV is higher, and they're much more bitter than your traditional porters. And I was even looking up the difference, like, between a brown ale, because brown ales use malt, dark malt, and also they roast their barley as well. But it's just, I guess it's not to the same point as they do for porters. And then, like you said, a little extra, I think it's more fermentation to get stouts. Like I said, I wish we had somebody else to talk about it more, but I think there is, from what I was seeing, there is a very strong relation between brown ales, porters, and stouts, that they're all generally from the same origin. It's just kind of how you finish it.
I agree. Yeah, because they got the same characteristics,
Right.
You brewed stouts before, right? What did you brew last?
Oh, I tried to brew a stout, and it ended up being, I want to say, a porter. I don't think it was enough probably malts in it. Because I know because if you brew a stout, you need a lot of malts, I'm assuming.
Right.
So it turned out being a porter.
Still drinkable, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Hey, Ricky, I got a question. Well, maybe for all you guys. So for the traditional porters, compared to the more Americanized porters? Is there a big difference between the taste of it, or is it close?
So right now, the two that I'm drinking are very similar. They both have that nice chocolatey, flavor to it, and they're pretty well made. Very clean, very easy to drink. I kind of wanted to stay away from anything that had like adjuncts in it. I just wanted to taste the actual porter itself. I kind of find that a lot of places when they do the adjuncts, they do a stout instead of a porter.
Right.
But that could be because of added sugars too. Once you add adjuncts, I'm assuming you're also adding sugars to the beer. So, during fermentation, I'm assuming some of those sugars are going to be turned into alcohol, and which is going to create a heavier,
Right.
Higher ABV.
Right.
I think lately too, like as of recently, we've seen people start to add lactose to stouts and create something that looks like chocolate milk, right?
I hate that.
It's
But that's
just a
just me.
little. It's
That's
just
just
a
me.
little weird to me. I don't know. I get like maybe they just want to try something, If you have the ability to try stuff, I'm definitely like an experimenter. I like to, try anything different and crazy. That to me, you did it once, right? But if you're trying to be traditional, obviously, I think here in the US, we don't care. We just do whatever we want. A lot of other places are very strict to the beer rules, especially in Europe and even Russia and Germany. Like they're super strict with their beer rules. Like this is this kind of beer. And I think Americans are just like, whatever, we do what we want.
Yeah.
Bunch of hillbillies.
It's fitting, right?
Trying to blaze new trails and shit.
We're like, fuck that.
So another question I was thinking about for today is, we're all familiar with, stout season being kind of the traditional, cooler month of the year. Some people enjoy stouts year round, of course. I know I don't mind a stout whenever, but with porters, how do you feel about where that falls in the calendar year? Is there a time for it, or or do you think it's a year round type thing, like an IPA or something like that? Do you think it's more seasonal?
Porter season. You know what, man? Like for me, the darker roasty beers are always. I always enjoy more when it's colder out. I don't know, just maybe because we're up here in the north, but like you said, I'll drink one. I'll drink one anytime. If there's one at a share, or if there's a really good one out somewhere, I'll try it. The thing is, I rarely see them on tap anywhere. If I go right now to a couple, like let's say if I go to 4 or 5 breweries right now, I bet you I won't find a porter.
True.
Yeah, it was very hard just to find canned ones today.
Yeah,
I think in my opinion, it's the temperature. Okay. I don't really care what time of year it is, but if it's hot outside, no, I don't drink darker beers because I don't want to get dehydrated and sick. So for me, I'll stick to lower ABVs and lighter beers only because I don't want to get sick, but it's not a taste type thing. But if I'm in the house and my AC is on 65 and I'm wearing a sweater and I have a blanket watching a movie, I'll bust out a porter or a stout. I don't care. It's just a temperature thing for me.
Yep. And then for me, since not stouts, porters, they're lighter. So I think I can drink this year round. And for the main fact, you can pair these with like seared scallops, spicy mole, chocolate. So
that one has
they're easily drinkable, and then you can eat it with some scallops. Like you can sit there on like a fucking cliff restaurant, have scallops and a fucking porter and shit. You feel like you're fucking English.
I was like, really?
It says it on the can, so
I do love me some scallops. I will eat some scallops with the porter.
I love pairings on the cans. I think more people should do that because it gives the overall idea that the brewer had for that beer. The taste and the mouthfeel, like all around, it's like a good roundabout, like, hey, we thought this would be good at these times.
I want to say it's more personable when they do that, when they add like their ingredients or or the tastings. You know, we share a little bit.
They care more about what we're doing when we drink the beer and if we enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm thinking like with this, I want like a steak or something like that. Like,
Yeah. It says venison and
Peanut butter? Really?
well, no, just with like a dark bold beer, like a
Mhm.
stout or a porter, like
what's like
something
cured meat?
What
cured
is it?
A cured
Cured
meat? Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like cured meats.
Like a charcuterie with like some
The coochie board.
the coochie boards. Yeah.
The old charcuterie board.
What is a porter itself? I mean, I gotta look this up. There's a very interesting fact on here. So apparently that's a job to be a porter.
So one of the things I saw, let me see if I can find it again. It was saying that it was originally named because of the name was first recorded in the 18th century and is thought to come from its reputation with street and river porters. Yeah.
What does that mean though? Like people that do transportation, porter?
I think that's what it is. It means like
People that pedal and have gondolas, like
a
that.
person who carries baggages. Yeah.
Okay.
Person who carries baggages. Hold on.
So it literally comes from the word transportation, like the same kind of porter. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, anybody that carries transports, carries stuff, equipment,
Cool.
personnel, stuff like that.
I thought maybe port wine or porter, like port something.
Oh, you mean like port, like where the ships come in, like a port?
Yeah, or yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, I'm assuming the people that work on ports are porters, right? They're carrying.
Yeah,
right?
Sailors.
There might be somebody watching us like these guys are a bunch of fucking idiots.
Yeah, look right here. It says the type of beer first brewed in the early 1800s that gains its name from being drunk by porters in the fish, meat, and other produce markets.
There you go.
That sounds like something I should attend.
The porter beer. It's for the
Back in the
working
day.
class. I like
Right.
that. It's like we made a beer for these hardworking motherfuckers. Let's go.
Exactly.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
funny. It's funny because it seems like a lot of beers were kind of originated that way. Like when we talked about the farmhouse ales, that's
Yeah.
basically what they were doing, brewing things that they could drink. What is it, like over the winter, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, they set it up with all the spring
Those,
and summer
winter
stuff
warmers.
so that they can let it sit and drink later. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of alcohol originated with working people because it was hard ass work and they needed something to feel better in the evenings because they were hurting physically from a lot of stuff.
That's where they came up with the session IPA because of that.
Mm-hmm.
Where you could drink a lot of beer and you can go back to work.
Yeah. And then you're numb and you're just doing the thing for the man.
If you
You know?
work with landscapers
The
and
man.
contractors, you know that during break we're having a couple beers.
Yeah. I mean, in the Navy when I was active duty, like it was common for people to go to lunch and drink pitchers of beer and then return back to work. But you weren't going to drink pitchers of Long Island iced teas, like you were legit drinking like lagers and stuff and then going back to work.
That's why the Navy gets nothing done ever. Then we got
I mean,
Don't y'all start.
it was after lunch. The morning was productive. After lunch, not so much.
Goes downhill.
Mhm. Whole
So-
bunch of us laying around waiting to go home.
So I think of all the trips that we've done, I think Asheville was probably the only place where we actually saw porters on tap at a few of those places.
Yeah.
I'll never forget about Asheville. That place is so fucking amazing. All those fucking breweries.
remember the one place where we went first? Where we had-
Burial?
no, not burial. Not that night. The morning after. The morning before. After.
Hillman.
Hillman. Yeah, they had a pretty good porter.
They had
Yeah.
awesome food, awesome beers. That was a great place to go.
Yeah, but like I said, I could go And I've been to, like this yesterday and the past couple of days, I've been to a few breweries. Not seen a porter anywhere in sight.
Yeah,
Right.
I think it's just because it's June, That's
Right.
literally probably the only reason. I think they just think people won't buy it, so they don't sell it.
I have seen dark lagers, which is like,
I've seen a lot more dark lagers on tap now recently.
So I did have a question. Maybe one of you guys can answer it. So when you're making a dark lager and a black lager and a black IPA, what is it about that makes it dark the same as a stout or a porter, like the color dark? What about it? Is it
the malts, the roasted malts and stuff?
okay? So do they burn them? They kind of burn it a little bit.
Yeah, like how they roast coffee.
Yeah.
They'll take the malts and stuff and they roast them, and then they get that nice charred color.
Charred look to it.
Yeah.
I wonder if it creates like almost like a syrupy too.
Somebody in the comments gonna be like, "This motherfucker doesn't know what he's talking about."
This motherfucker.
That's what it is. It has to come from that color, because I know when you do like a you guys know, like those very heavy, what do we call them, like a wheat, like an oat IPA, right? Like a like other half.
Yeah.
Very heavy on the oats, very heavy on the grains, right? Very heavy on the oats. That hazy yellow color comes from the fact that they throw in a ton of oats. Like they'll use like 10 pounds of oats and just freaking for like a 5-gallon batch, like so when the mash is recirculating, all that stuff is coming down, makes that hazy color.
Definitely. If you've ever made overnight oats at your house, it's thick afterwards you're done.
Ooh.
That soaks up any of the flavors that might be bitter. And that's the thing that's awesome, is because you can get all of that from the hop to basically higher ABVs and stuff like that too, right? But then it just smooths it all over. So it's kind of like best of both worlds.
Yeah, what I've read also, like, the porters are supposed to be, like we said, lower on the IBUs, lower on the ABVs, even lower on the SRMs. The color itself should be a lot, not clear, but it should be a little bit more. Like if you put it up to the light, you can see a little bit more than you would with a stout.
Yeah, like a dark
stout is just complete darkness.
Right. Yeah.
Stout is saying "fuck your couch."
Yeah, pretty much.
Habitual stout stepper.
We're gonna go all the way.
That beer, Rich, that Sweet Baby Jesus was one of the ones on the list that we talked about the other day, about the ones that were getting in trouble. There was
with the name
that didn't want that beer named.
Controversial.
Yeah. And then did you see the one that they made with the I think it was with Mexican I think it was Mexican chocolate or something, that's called Sweet Baby Jesus?
Yeah, I did.
Really?
Yeah, if you guys ever find it, look for it. It's a good beer. It's freaking awesome.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to find that.
Right.
It's weird to me, like, why people would think to put peanut butter in a porter. Like, it's just so different. I mean, it works perfectly, but it makes you think, like, all of the other things that we haven't added to a porter, it might taste good,
I'm sure people have tried adding everything into a porter, but like I said, I don't know, man. To be honest with you, I like a traditional porter, traditional stout. Don't get me wrong, I'll always taste a heavy adjunct stout or porter, but if I had to pick to choose and drink one, I'd probably go with the classic.
Well, I think that the classic ones have plenty of their own flavor without having to add adjuncts, because they usually have a bit of a caramel flavor to them, a hazelnut, coffee, kind of flavor to them, that you don't necessarily need to add chocolate and strawberries and peanut butter and, all these extra things. Like, they just have a natural, because of roasting, how they roast the barley and the malts and everything, like, they just have that natural kind of caramel roasty, flavor to them. So like a dark chocolate or mocha kind of flavor to them. So I agree. I don't think they necessarily need anything. I do taste them and enjoy them. A lot of times, like those heavy adjunct stouts, like when we do those bottle shares, like the stuff from like say Bottle Logic or, you know, some of the other half ones or the brewery, they leave this like taste in my mouth that doesn't wash away for like 2 days. Doesn't matter if I brush my teeth or swish or drink whatever.
Is it like that really sweet taste, or is it? Yeah.
Yeah, and it just like
talk about.
Yeah, it just kind of lingers. So when I drink regular stouts, like a regular traditional kind of stout, I don't really get that.
Right. And you're supposed to taste that little bit more bitterness because of the higher IBUs and stuff like that, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing, I think stouts and porters are a little more like a wine, that you're not supposed to drink, you know, these big, large quantities. They're smaller pours, and, you know, you have just a couple, and, you know, that's about it. You're not going to be drinking stouts all night unless, I don't know.
Unless you had a beer share. They bring up all the stouts.
Yeah.
Yeah. All the people bring. Unless you drink a 4-pack by yourself.
It's funny, in our world, we drink a 4-pack to get drunk, and everybody else they get a 6-pack or a 12-pack to get drunk.
Yeah.
Hey, that's true.
Definitely.
I had that conversation with somebody about that. The whole craft versus not craft. Oh shit, did I freeze?
Bro, I had
we can
still
hear. There you go.
We can still hear you.
The video goes, but the freaking audio stays. Good thing I didn't say
it was like one of those like newscasts, like live on the scene. We have Ricky with the good beers, and it just shows your picture.
Go fuck yourself, San Diego.
I forgot what I was saying.
You see it already?
I don't remember what I was saying. What the fuck was I saying? I'll remember. I'm sure I'll remember it.
Well, one of the other things, I'll just throw one last thing out there, is like Wetness had chugged a Baltic, and the thing I was seeing is that Baltic porters are some of the higher ABV porters in the family, basically, and it was exported to the Baltics.
The Baltic Sea.
Yeah,
I had this one, Baltic porter.
Mm-hmm.
With the,
is that what it means? Tabula rosa? What does that mean?
Oh hell, I don't know.
So if it's labeled Baltic porter, that just means it has a higher ABV?
I think so. It says Baltic porters contain higher levels of alcohol and are also described as tasting creamy or roasted.
Okay. So it has more of a roasty feeling.
Yeah. Originated near the Baltic Sea region.
Yeah.
Says they're usually closer to 9%.
This place that we went to, right? They make the me and Beer Lover went here, OEC. They make some very obscure beer styles and beers. Some stuff that I had never even thought of. They have like one beer that they bury in the ground for 6 months, and then they freaking take it out, and so it's interesting. But this one, it's cold shipped and open fermented, so I'm spontaneous fermentation, and it says brewed with de-bittered dark malts, de-bittered dark malts. I'm not sure what that means, and hopped with fine European noble hops. It says a warmer fermentation starts in open tanks for 1.5 weeks using a traditional lager yeast. Finally, it is lagered cold prior to packaging. This is definitely an interesting beer. I mean, it was delicious. It was really tasty. But yeah, it was definitely heavier in the ABVs, and it was almost a little bit like carbonated. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. Didn't have as much a head on it, but it was more like a very, very carbonated. It tasted almost like a seltzer when you're chugging it.
Yeah,
that is different for a porter, because like any of these that I've drank, literally the carbonation disappears almost immediately.
Yeah.
You know, it's very light, just like stouts. Really, there's not like super heavy carbonated stouts out there either.
Yeah, this brewery has like a weirdest name. The OEC is abbreviation for this name that they have. It's called, and I can't. I'm sure I'm gonna fuck it up, but it's called Ordinum Eccentrici Cactoris.
It's Latin.
Yeah,
Cunt Taurus.
not clitoris. Cactoris.
Hunt Horus.
I can't read that motherfucker.
Oh, is it
I got
backwards?
glasses on. I
Yeah,
can't read
It's backwards.
that.
It's not backwards.
Who's dyslexic?
I can't read. I need glasses, and I
Yeah,
don't
you,
got.
you guys are both blind. I'm not blind. I
You
could've
still
read
got
it.
2020, you old motherfucker. Well, you know.
I do.
Oh, eagle eyes.
Old eagle eyes. Hey, there's a giant over there.
He's like,
Uh,
I'm
Hey,
watching.
Ricky, how those bottles looking? They're pretty empty.
oh yeah.
Are they pretty big bottles? Let me see the bottles.
No,
Oh,
they're 12 ounces
Okay.
or 30 or 355 milliliters. You know, if you're in Europe.
Oh, so Baltic porters, like you said, they use lager yeast or cold fermented ale yeast, which gives porters their higher alcohol content.
Right.
English brewers invented this style out of necessity. They fortified their porters with higher alcohol contents to prevent spoilage during exportation to the Baltics.
Okay,
Some
so that makes sense.
It says some refer to them as imperial porters.
Ah.
I have
Because-
Imperial
I
Porter
was
before,
gonna bring
yeah.
that up because I did see a category of imperial porters, which of course have the heavier or the higher ABV.
Mhm.
But then I was like, well, if it's has a higher ABV, wouldn't it technically be a stout? So then, like I said, there's that whole area of like, the stout is it a porter?
Yeah.
So, of course, not to be outdone, the American porter with ABV levels reaching 10% or higher exceed the strength of Baltic porters.
Right.
Americans, we always go balls to the wall.
But
Yeah,
then what I guess would be called an imperial porter, right?
yeah,
Yeah, it's over 8%, right?
we're up there.
See, that's one of the cool things about beer is that there's so much variety and so much variation. You know, it's like,
Yeah, I think people just don't realize, you know. I think a lot of people think of beer as like Budweiser.
Right.
They don't realize that a lager is not the only beer that there is.
Well, even I think in specific styles, and I know I can admit this, is that I had no idea there was such a variety within each style. I mean,
Right.
you know, just saying it's a porter doesn't really tell you anything. There's American and Baltic and robust and brown and English. You know, different stouts. There's all these different kinds of stouts, and it's just I was like, oh, it's an IPA, it's a porter, it's a stout, it's a sour. Like, that's all I fucking knew. I didn't really know anything.
yeah,
So-
well, I'm definitely glad we actually tackled this one now since it's been a while. I don't even know why we haven't done a porter yet.
Well, we used to have a lot of people that didn't want to drink dark beers, but
Pussies.
we don't got to worry about that no more.
Nope.
We are in for the win.
Yeah, I'm
Like it.
glad I picked these two up. Like I said, these two are very, very similar in style, which I'm assuming Bell's wanted to make that style of porter. You know, Bell's being the older breweries here. I mean, in the U.S. and stuff like that. So,
Mhm.
um,
I wonder if they thought if a brewery ever messes up a stout and says, let's just call it a porter, like what Nestle would-
That's exactly what I did.
let's just call this a porter.
so on Bell's label it says porters bridge the gap between malty brown ales and heavy roasted stouts. Notes of chocolate, coffee, and roasted barley offset with just slight bitter hops.
Porter is the biracial child of the dark beer. I can say that as a biracial child myself.
I can say that.
I'm allowed to say that.
So I encourage people to try porters. If you were nervous about it before and you think stouts are okay, and you like, red ales and stuff, go ahead and go out and get a freaking porter. If I see they have a porter, I'm putting it on my flight.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well,
Yeah.
Go.
maybe my second round of flights because I'm trying everything most of the time.
Still gotta try the IPAs first.
Yeah, I gotta try the cold IPA first.
Oh snap! The cold IPAs. Probably another topic coming soon because everybody's talking about
true.
those things.
Yeah, the word
Need to
got
be able
out.
to find them though. You need to find them.
That's the problem. I think. Yeah, that's the problem we're gonna have finding a fucking cold IPA.
Yeah.
You know what we can do next that I just saw on this list? Oyster stouts.
Oh,
Okay.
hell no. I'm out.
Yes.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Do we
So
gotta
what
get
is that?
oysters?
What is
we gotta
that?
get oysters
Go
and
ahead.
fucking.
Go ahead and explain what an oyster stout is first.
It says it's a type of sweet dark beer that uses real oysters and oyster shells in its brewing. Oyster stouts have pleasant
Yeah.
salinities.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go with the word pleasant.
So I have noticed that some stouts and porters will put salt in the batch
Oh really?
to make it salty. Yeah. So I mean,
I've
salty and
had
savory.
one oyster stout. No, I had a few, two or three. And the first one I had I thought was horrible. Like legit horrible. I was like, how the fuck is this even a beer? The second time I had it with somebody and they were like, pour it, let it sit for a little bit, let it aerate for a little bit. And then you get some of those smells, because it is very fishy, obviously. It's you're gonna get the salinity and the fishiness from it.
So do you guys like oysters? You guys like oysters?
I do, but I
used
love
to.
oysters.
I used to until I got fucking violently ill. on the trip.
I don't like them raw. I like them cooked.
Did you think you were gonna die?
Yes, I was in the bathroom on the floor for like 5 hours.
Damn. Fuck that. I ain't eating that
It was
shit.
coming out, dude. It was coming out of both ends.
Oh,
It was bad. I was throwing up in the trash can and I was just pissing out my butt.
projectile into the toilet.
With Sam texting me every once in a while. Are you okay?
Are you
Like,
alive?
Every once in a while.
He's still alive.
I mean, he didn't want to text me back, so I was lucky to get a response. It was bad. It was bad. He's like, I'm alive, but I feel dead inside. I do like, I was raised eating raw clams
yeah.
and like being part Native American, like that's a huge part of our diet, fundamentally, I think. So for me, clams and oysters, like, I don't know, it just naturally, for me, I feel like they should be part of my diet. But I don't necessarily want that in a drink. You know what I mean? Like, it's a weird thing for me. Like, I would rather drink like a saison or something like that with oysters because I feel like it's lighter, and I don't know if I'd want a beer that tastes like oysters.
Well,
It says the slightly bitter, sweet or slightly sweet nature of a stout pairs nicely with the briny flesh of oysters.
Sounds like a throw up, if you ask me.
Didn't you say it pairs well with fish?
Yeah, I think it pairs well with fish too because it adds that kind of like seawater kind of flavor to the beer.
Yeah, I don't know.
Let's do it.
It's barf
As long
on a
as I don't
Sunday.
think about oysters and that very bad experience in Charleston.
Who makes
all
it?
right.
What's the one with who are the ones that do Raging Bitch?
Flying Dog.
Flying Dog.
Flying dog, yeah.
Flying Dog makes an oyster stout. It's
Which
called
makes
Pearl.
sense because they're out of Delaware. Yeah, Delaware and Eastern Shore of Maryland, like super oyster, skipjack, old school sailors that are out there legit every season getting oysters, and so that makes sense. That's definitely a part of their heritage in that area. Having lived there for a couple of years, it's part of, yeah, it's a lot of America that I think people don't really hear about. Like you don't talk about like people that legit live and deal with a lot of oyster stuff. So
I also seen a lobster stout.
I have seen lobster.
Where'd you see that
beer,
at?
but not stouts.
It's not a stout?
The one I had was not a stout. Lobster beer was not a stout. It
Really?
was a I feel like it was a saison, something like
Ooh, funkiness.
it was a goza. Yeah, lobster goza.
I don't know about that. That's funkiness with fish, and I don't know.
It legit, you cracked the can and smelled the fish, and it tasted salty.
Oh, hell to the no.
And it had like a buttery taste to it too. It was weird.
You dip in that
Belfast. So there's a brewery called Belfast Bay, and they make a red ale, and it's called a lobster ale.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
So,
All right. Well,
we're definitely veered off the subject of porters now.
That may be that may be another topic. Is like
Yes.
odd
If you'd like to hear it, let us know.
Seafood beer pairings or something like that. Seafood beers.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I think
Hey,
people would love to watch us throw up off of seafood beers. They would
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. Like we did before. Yeah, let's do that again.
Ugh.
Well, I think it's time for us to wrap up then, huh?
I guess.
That's what we had to say. Before we leave, guys, always like I always mention, make sure you follow us on Instagram, on YouTube. Soon to come, I'm trying to set it up so that I can stream on other platforms so you can listen to it if you would listen to us in the car.
Yes.
Hit that subscribe button, guys. You know, it means a lot to us. It'll help with the algorithm and all that shit. All right, follow everybody in the church. Beer Lover, we miss you.
We miss
Yes.
you, beer lover.
We do.
Crash limo.
Close us out, monkey. Close us out.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Cheers to good porters and good beers. From the church, we love all you.
Cheers.
Amen.
Recording.